If you watch my video on the military muster, I show a picture of a knife. That knife, which was based on the Fairbairn and Sykes fighting knife, is called the V42 dagger or the Force Knife. In the summer of 1942, in the mountains of Montana, a group of U.S. and Canadian Army soldiers were brought together to create a commando unit called the FSSF, which stands for the 1st Special Services Force. Now this is their shoulder patch. Now the knife was originally made by Case Cutlery, and around 3,000 or so were made, give or take. Then in 1989 to 1993, they were reintroduced. One of the guys at the muster had one. He wanted $100 for it. And I've seen the originals on eBay, but they go for really big bucks. That's where I found this one here. Made by Colt. Now the originals had a thumb print right here so that you could pierce or slash in either direction. And it has a skull crusher pommel. And the originals had leather under the guard here. Some of the soldiers ground down the tip because they found that after using it, when they pierced, it would get stuck on bone and be kind of hard to pull out. So they kind of ground down the tip a bit. Made of high carbon steel. They were trained with the knife by a former Shanghai detective, Captain Pat O'Neill, and he's taught them hand-to-hand combat, plus how to use this knife. Now, to say these guys were badass is a bit of an understatement, because the Captain O'Neill was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to teach you how to hurt, I'm here to teach you how to kill." And there's actually a little story in a book I'm reading about the Force where he wouldn't actually use this knife all that much. What he'd do is come up to a German sentry, ask the guy for a cigarette. When the guy turned around, he shot him in the face. The Germans gave the Devils Brigade the nickname the Black Devils because when they did their night fighting, they used to wear the black camo paint and used to sneak in and sneak out without them ever knowing it. They found a German officer's journal which called them the Black Devils, and so their commanding officer, Brigadier General Frederick, used that to his advantage and had these printed out. Now, this is just a copy, this is a sticker, but he had these cards made out. But what the soldiers used to do is pin these to dead German soldiers, and what that translates to is the worst is yet to come. The Devil's Brigade disbanded after the war, but if you've ever seen the crests of the U.S. and the Canadian Special Forces, they use this in the design, so they take their lineage from them. So I'm reading a book, A Perfect Hell, about the Devil's Brigade, and there's a couple pictures in here I'd like to show you. Here's a picture of their commanding officer, Brigadier General Frederick, and if you can see, hanging on his hip there is the Force Knife. It hung like a 6-shooter so they could get at it when they wore their winter gear, which I have a picture of it here, which was the long parkas, so they could get at it. And there is the calling card. Oh, it only gets worse is what that says. And there they are with the black camouflage paint. There's some pictures of them training with a bayonet and some unarmed combat. There's the quote. There's some winter mountaineering and the parachuting. So that's just a brief history about the U.S. and Canada coming together to create the 1st Special Forces unit. I hope you found it as interesting as I did. That's all I got for you. I'll see you on the flip side.